And I want to tell you, it's been great. I have to tell you kids, last night, you think you kids know how to party? Last night we had, what, 46 people at the Wheel Inn for dinner, and we acted like grown-ups. Then we went to the Red Run, where there were like 75 of us who partied like it was 1971. We had a great, great evening. And these two gentlemen were there. Yeah, thank you all. Okay, now, I mean, these are really trippy because I don't know about you, but just hanging around all you guys, I feel really, really, really young again. You know? So now, I'm going to look at all your faces, all you people together with your classes. If you've at least once in planning for this, or coming here, or talking to your friends tonight, at least thought of one of your old high school crushes, smile right now. Let me see. Oh my gosh! Look at all the smiles. I said, all right, so y'all think about that. And you know, it brings back those kind of memories. It's this ba-boom, 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 ba-boom. Listen to that, kids. That's going to be repetition and writing. Watch this in just a minute. So, little humor here. First I'm going to tell a blonde joke, okay? Now, do not be offended, any of you, if you have hair that naturally grows flaxen out of your roots. I would never poke fun at you. No. This, I speak of any of you who, like me, have chosen to be blonde ever since we were old enough to lift a bottle of Clairol. We are a voluntary Sister Golden Hair Surprise Club, and now that we're older, we're a bit mellow yellow, and we've graduated to platinum membership. So, okay, so here's your little self-deprecating humor. So, I have had the privilege of staying, along with my husband, with my best high school friend, Sue Arnold Bowers, and her husband, Ike Bowers. Well, y'all know Ike. Ike used to be a state trooper. Now, Ike, the state trooper, and my husband, the military officer, have been spending 2 days with these blondes. So, Ike tells a story about one time when he pulled over a blonde when he was a state trooper. And he said he's driving down the road, and there was this gal going like 90 miles an hour down the road. Really, really fast. So he gets up beside her to see what's going on, and he looks, and not only is she driving 90 miles an hour, she's knitting while she's driving down the road. She's knitting. So Ike gets up really, 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 really close, and he looks over at the side, and he yells to her, "Pull over! Pull over!" And she lifted up the knitting and smiled, and she said, "No, it's a scarf." See, nice and clean humor. Good humor. Okay, so I want to introduce my entourage here, or in this case perhaps you'd call it a blontourage. And many of you who live here know who these two gentlemen are, but many people are here out of town. So there's a real reason that I wanted these two gentlemen up here. Number one, this is a real snapshot of the class of 1971. When we started our senior year, we had 99 kids in our class. We had 66 guys to 33 girls. Good odds, yeah, I know. So we are a representation of what our class was. But there's another reason I wanted these two gentlemen up here. And that is because they are a representation of the message I wanted to give tonight. They are all about being other-centered and a life of service. On my right, my dear friend Denny Vermillion. I have loved this guy for so long, and I have to tell you, way back, a million years ago, when I was in that junior Miss pageant, and it was all the way away in Towanda, which seemed so far away, and we'd go down for rehearsals, and I was nervous as anything the night of that pageant. And I stood there on that stage, and I looked out in that audience, and of course I knew my dad would be there, my brothers would be there, but that doesn't count. And I look, and smiling from the audience is your cousin, right, too, Jeff Vermillion, and Denny Vermillion with this smile, big as anything. Go, Teri, go, like that. And I want to tell you, that meant the world to me. He certainly wasn't there for an evening of spectacular entertainment. He was there for me, to support me, and that meant the world. Now this gentleman has gone on to do a lifetime of that kind of support. Teaching, to me, is the noblest of professions. And when I think of Denny, I'm reminded of that Love of the Cabbie story. You ever heard that one? It's about a passenger. He gets in a taxi cab, and he notices that the taxi cab driver just smiled and winked at a very plain-looking woman. And so the passenger says to him, "Excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt, but why did you just smile and wink at that, what I would say would be a very ordinary-looking lady?" And the taxi cab driver said, "Well, I smiled and winked at her, and you know what? If she's an elementary school teacher, 23 kids are going to have a really wonderful day." Well, I have a feeling that for 33 years, classes of elementary school kids had not only a very wonderful day, but a very educational day with Denny Vermiglia as their teacher. Now this man is retired in order to devote his full time to his center, Endless Mountains Pregnancy Care Center, and to devote his full life to his prison ministry, where he travels visiting over 18 different prisons, ministering to the prisoners. To me, that's human hands doing supreme work. On my other side, another man I've loved through the years, Roger Tracy. I always thought the RT stood for real trouble. But, oh, this is the point where I'm supposed to make little inside jokes that I don't get, kids. Something about just in case, and I don't know, senior boyfriends, junior girlfriends, and a bunch of you with secret names that are like something that the CIA would know about but nobody else, or Secret Service, right? 64 and 43, okay. I know nothing about what that means and I don't need to, but it got a smile out of you, so that's good. But you know what? I've been reading about this guy in the funny papers lately. And he's retiring after 20 years of service on your council. And I am just so very proud of this member of our class of 71. And putting Canton on the map for the last 20 years with his work with the Apple Cheese Festival. I have to admit, when I heard that Roger was retiring, that Roger Tracy was going under the radar, but I talked to our class and they said, yeah, they always thought he'd wind up in a witness protection program somewhere. Anyway, I would just like to say that these two men are just two examples of the really outstanding graduates we have in our class. And first I was going to mention this one, and this one, and this one, and this one, but there's so many of us here tonight I can't do it all. But what a terrific group of people we have in our class. So would you give these two a round of applause, because they are we are an outstanding class. We were a class born in the early 1950s. We're old enough to have Leave It to Beaver type families and Andy of Mayberry type memories. We played with Chatty Cathy dolls and Rock'em Sock'em robots, and we had a childhood that was broken by the assassinations of two Kennedys and Martin Luther King. We were a generation lost in space, and we knew how far away the moon was because we watched the lunar landing. Now listen to that phrase, kids, because that's going to repeat in the end, and that's tying your whole speech up well. Okay. We were a John, Paul, George, and Ringo group, and we, Paul was in a group of Four Wings for you people in the 80s. So we were a very special class. We have a class full of accomplished people up there, and all very proud to be a part of Canton. I want to say a minute something else about teachers, about how very important teachers are. If you have a teacher who means the world to you, please tell that teacher that. Write a letter, give that teacher a call. For me, that teacher was Betty Welch Vinty. She inspired me. When I went to college, my college comp teacher said, and it was no credit to me, she said, you don't belong in Comp 1. You don't even belong in Comp 2. You really know how to write. And it was because of the teaching I had here at Canton. I walk around with a poem in my heart because of you. I say, whose woods these are, I think I know, because of you. Frost. I walk around with Shakespeare in my heart. Good old iambic pentameter. Ba-boom, 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 ba-boom. Is it any wonder it's so popular? It's the beating of the human heart. So I had excellent, excellent education while we were here in Canton.